Welcome everyone to another Three Martini Lunch, a national virtual networking event powered by Rockstar Connect. We are going to be speaking to some of the best panelists in the country regarding issues in entrepreneurship that are important to all of us. We had a great session last week with a lot of terrific information, and we hope to achieve the same thing today. First of all, has everyone had a great week so far? Because I know it's only Tuesday. If you're not having a good week so far, might as well start over. Pretend today's Monday. Well, we've had a lot of successes here in Rockstar Connect. I mean, people are joining to be hosts all over the country in areas that we've never been in before. We have an event in Truckee, California. Who's ever heard of Truckee, California? You have. It's near Nevada, near Reno, and they're going to be having an event there starting very soon. We're excited about that. Large population, but basically in the middle of a national forest. We have had events in the middle of national forest. We're excited about that. Today, Rhonda made an introduction to a gentleman in Idaho, not far from Spokane. His name is Dallas, which I liked his first name right away. And what did he say when he was signing up? He said, I don't need to hear anything about the program.
He just said, how do I sign up?
Yeah, he said, I don't need to hear anything about the program.
How do I sign up? I think he wants to do two. He wants to do one in Spokane and one where he is.
Well, we can definitely accommodate him in both places. We'll be speaking to him later this week. Of course, Christina is joining with her event in Buckhead. And Damon's had his first event in Edmond last week. I'm sure we'll hear a little bit about that as well on the show. Andrew, you have another event coming up in Wilmington? Okay, terrific. Domenic is joining us. I'm going to jump right into the meat of it. There's a question that we've never asked on the show. So everyone here are hard workers. We work for ourselves. We have that freedom. We're entrepreneurs, and we all have sort of a game plan. A lot of people in the working world, that have jobs, they talk about retirement. They're going to retire from their jobs at a certain point, and that's what they've been working for since the first day they started in their job. They're talking about retirement. I mean, maybe some of them had some goals that they wanted to achieve, and they achieved them. But others thought, hey, those goals just are not achievable. So instead, I'm going to save up a lot of money, and I'll go out to the lake, and I'll fish, and I'll drink beer there. And maybe if I get a real fancy house, my kids might visit me. Otherwise, I'm going to be pretty lonely out there. But entrepreneurs, it's sort of a little different because we're doing in theory, everyone here on this panel is doing exactly what they want to do. They may be wanting to expand beyond that and do even more. So my question this week is, what does retirement mean to you? Does that mean you're not going to work anymore, or you don't have to work for money anymore? You're going to continue what you're doing? You can get a little philosophical about it, talk about a vocation versus an avocation. But I want to know, where do you see yourself when you're no longer working? Or maybe you're always going to work like Mike Manning. So let's start off, for that matter, let's start with Mike Manning.
Good afternoon, everyone. And yes, I will make a very bad retiree. Don't have a lot of hobbies. I don't garden. My back doesn't let me play golf anymore. I can't bowl anymore, run anymore. So I'll just always be doing something. Don't know what, but always be doing something. I did not hear you, Stephen. Still, is it me?
No.
Okay. Can't hear your question back to me, Stephen.
I'm sorry about that. We had a little bit of unstable internet for a while, despite the fact I'm sitting right next to the high-speed fiber internet and am plugged into it. So we shouldn't be having that problem. But maybe it'll be helpful if you tell people a little bit about what you do now, and then they can understand what you would be doing in the future.
Well, I'm a business coach. I love working with small business owners. COVID has allowed me to meet people around the country because since nobody was leaving their house, I said yes on a Facebook group one day to visit a group in California to talk about podcasting, and met some people in Canada, and was on a Zoom call the other day with a guy in South Africa talking about something different than what I'm doing now. So just I've found that, like a lot of us, we can work across state lines, which I guess 2 or 3 years ago probably didn't think much of that. And so I can help people all the time. It's not physical to do, so I can sit and think and help them, get their business to where they want it to be. So it actually allows me a lot of flexibility. So I'm very curious to see how far and long I want to go with that. But I really enjoy it, and turned 60 in May. Still feel like I'm 19, so nothing's really changed.
How long have you worked for yourself, and what did you do before, before you?
Probably see the last W-2 I ran the AMF Bowling Center in Durham from 2009 to 2013. So then my brother and I started two companies. So at least for the last 8 years there. So it's just, I enjoy it. I mean, most people get into small business ownership for some flexibility and a chance to do it the way you want to do it. And I say small business ownership is stressful freedom because it's both of those every day usually.
Right. I mean, I always say that, when you're an entrepreneur, you may work 80 hours a week, but you choose those 80 hours.
Yes. And we always have the luxury of taking Friday off if we want to, but we better make sure the funnel's still working. So you won't miss those 8 hours or 6 hours or how many, but it does, you're right. It does allow you some flexibility to determine when you want to do it, which is nice.
So as long as your funnel keeps and remains filled, you'll continue to work.
I think so. I love it. I enjoy helping. I go back to coaching my boys when they were little in Little League. And I just love that aha moment when a 7-year-old kid scored a run in T-ball. And just they go screaming, Mom, Dad, Grandma, Grandpa, did you see me score the run? And the same thing with a 15, 7-year-old business owner. Man, they move a boulder that they haven't been able to get around for a while. And it's that same thing. So as long as I still have that, I'm good to go.
Very good. Okay. Jay, what does retirement mean to you?
That there is no retirement. That's what it means. That's what it means to me. I agree with Mike in almost everything. I mean, I coach business people, executives, and salespeople, and it's something I can do. And like Mike, when the pandemic started, it just expanded my business. It didn't make it less. It actually grew even more. And so that was huge. And I love my podcast, A New Direction, right behind me there. And, I have had the privilege of interviewing best-selling authors. I'm booking, I'm now booking 2022 because I'm so booked up with people. And so I'm grateful to what I do, but I think bigger than that is I know my how. I know how what I do influences a world and makes a difference. And I guess it's another way to say I know what my purpose is. And I don't want to change that. I don't want to change my purpose. I don't want to stop doing that because I know that what we're doing is we are positively affecting and infecting a world to help make people better. Whether that's me writing books or podcasting or coaching or speaking, which are the 4 things that I do. I know that every purpose that I have in my heart and my life is to make people better on any level. And I know that that's my purpose. And that's why God put me here. And I don't want that to stop. I don't want to be selfish enough to say, okay, I'm just going to quit doing stuff so I can focus on me and be on a boat somewhere and not worry about other people. I just don't want to do that because I really enjoy what I'm doing. And, I think, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. It's just how I feel about it. But, as entrepreneurs, we're kind of funny that way, because we're the only people in the world who give up a 40-hour a week job so that we can work 70 to 100 hours for an unsure amount of money, because we all pretty much work on commission. We have no guaranteed money. We have to continue to work. Yeah. So, we're a funny group of people ultimately. And that's why, being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart, because we've all failed far more times than we've been successful. And we just won't quit, because I don't know if we're too stupid to quit or if really we're that perseverant. But I think once we get something going, I think it's like a child. We don't want to let this thing go, and we can see what our bigger purpose is, and we just want to keep rolling with it. And that, for me, that's listen, I've got my 401k or my Roths or whatever, fully funded and everything, but I don't care. I don't work for that. I do what I do because I love what I do, and because I know I'm helping people ultimately.
And also, I would add that your ability to help people has changed quite a bit over the last 10 years.
Oh gosh, yes.
Because you were dealing primarily with people one-on-one. You started off as a clinician and then an academic. That brought you to a larger group. But now as author and a podcaster, and someone who has control over your writing as well.
Right.
Previously, if you published a book, if your publisher, didn't want to publish it anymore, you were done.
Yeah. And I taught psychology in colleges and universities for 25 years, plus. And, it took me that long to figure out I don't really work very well in a bureaucratic, political, hierarchical system, that I don't play well in the sandbox with others in that system. And I'm not very good there. And I kept trying to do the same thing over and over again, trying to figure it out. But I needed to have the freedom to do things in my way, in a way that fit my being, my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual journey. So, that became a real eye opener for me as well.
It's really hard to even think of retirement, because what do you do during retirement? Is it like putting out a horse out to stud? Do you eat a little, do a little bit of grass?
I had this conversation, Stephen,
for all day.
I had this conversation with a man. I was having breakfast the other morning, and at a counter, and a man I never met was next to me, and he came up with the same thing that most people come up to all of us. And he said, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I'm a coach, business coach." And next thing we know, I'm having this conversation. He says, "I'm going to ask you for some free advice." And he was in his mid-60s, and he was a salesperson. And it came down to that he dreaded his job, and all he was looking for is to retirement. And I asked him one question. I said, "What's your purpose in what you do? How do you affect a bigger world in what you do?" And I thought he was going to cry on me. I really did, right there at the breakfast, because he really did not know.
Yeah, we've been conditioned that way.
Right. And he was selling an internet product for a company. The company doesn't matter, but it was high-speed internet company. And he really could not figure it out. And I said, "Listen, my wife and I own a real estate company." And I said, "I'm going to tell you something. If I don't have high-speed internet in my office and have someone that I can go to help me fix it, I'm out of business. And if I'm out of business, that means I can't help people buy and sell real estate, which is part of their dream. And when I can't have their dream, it all falls back to if I don't get the right amount of internet service." And again, I thought he was going to be in tears, because I said, "You help fulfill the dream, not me. And we're just kind of all catalysts. But if I don't have that website, if I don't have the social media, if I don't have the ability to transfer documents, if I don't have all those things," well, you would have thought that I had just said, I'd opened up the world of heaven to him, and voices were coming down singing hallelujah, right? Because all of a sudden it became different. He texted me back. We exchanged. He texted me back, and he said, "I made 3 sales today."
That's
There's
excellent
what's worth it.
perspective. I think as entrepreneurs, we value other people that do things much more than just their job. Maybe we value them more than they do. And
Agree.
come hang pictures up this week at our house, and it cost a pretty penny. It was about $75 per hour. But they know what they're doing and they have their tools, and they, had a great perspective on where to hang pictures. I didn't have to think about that. I could concentrate on my work. And if, my father was to get injured doing it, or I would get injured doing it, it would prevent me from doing what my core responsibilities are. So
Right.
that $75 seemed really inexpensive to me. And I think that it's great that people today can have a profession and make the money that they deserve for helping other people. Put a beautiful picture in your house, that has a great impact on the quality of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And your wife is happier too.
She's happier too, because she'd be the one up on the ladder. Otherwise, I want you guys to know Sarah can do anything. My job is to convince her we should hire someone to do it. Really, she could take our car apart and put it back together and change all the electrical. She could build the house if she had a YouTube video.
In heels.
In heels. But we choose not to do that because there's so many other things that she is fantastic at doing. I don't know if everyone knows this, but Sarah's created all the systems for Rockstar Connect. So that's how we're, people say, how do you do 250 events in a month? Ask Sarah and her team how they do it. I can't tell you how they do it. It's magic to me, just like turning on the television set. It's like, oh, they must use, some sort of crazy magic that I don't know about. But yeah, I think that's part of our mission. Even if we stop doing what we're doing, we can still mentor other people and help them appreciate the value of what they do. And right now, physical labor is very important to all of us in our businesses to allow us to work remotely, like you said. And real estate is not an easy business if you don't have internet. So I agree with you 100%, Jay. Damon, you just had your first event. Do you have a little bit of a glow left on that? I know you have a meeting with us today to talk about your event some more.
Yeah, still a little bit of a glow. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
See how effervescent and glowing I am? I would say that part of my problem as an entrepreneur is that I'm never satisfied. I think that's probably a malady that a lot of entrepreneurs share. We're never satisfied. It's so easy to look at what didn't go according to plan instead of looking at what did go according to plan, or maybe what was better than what we had expected. So I'm going to share the bad news first of my first event. I had 60 people RSVP and about 25 of them showed up, and I was pissed off. And I had personally reached out to all of them to remind them, excited that I'm going to see you there, bring your business cards, all that stuff. The event comes, I get there early. My wife is my check-in person. And so we went through the whole thing. We spent the whole week because we wanted to get this right. And, I kind of shared this a little bit. I have in my background, I'm a performer. I was a singer. I performed in front of 30,000 people in a huge arena. No problem. I'm okay. But for this event, for 60 people, business contacts, I was nervous.
A little nervous your first time.
I was kind of scared. But once I got there, and especially once I got some bourbon in me, I was okay. But then I had a flood of people at first, but then that was it. So Victoria, my business partner, our firm's owner, I was telling her after the event how bummed I was. And she said, Damon, you're choosing to focus on the wrong thing. You're focusing on the 40 people that didn't show up instead of the 20 people that did, or the 25 that did. And she's right. I mean, you can focus on quantity, but we need to focus on quality. That night, I made connections with a gentleman who is in the business valuation business. Like, he actually works with business owners to help them value their business, market, and sell it. I've got 5 clients right now who have businesses they want to transition out of and create a succession plan. Now I have a connection and a resource to bring to my clients to show the value that we bring to them.
Those are busy guys, those busy valuation guys.
Yeah. We made connection with our local MBA team, and we're going to host one of our Rockstar events at the arena the next NBA season. And there you go. Our team's not going to be so good, but that's okay. We got the 6th pick in the draft coming up here pretty soon, so maybe we'll get somebody good out of that. But you know, the games are still exciting. So we made several connections, and it was a good event. I'm looking forward to having more. And so, yeah, Kim has been a great resource. Sarah, I know you're on the call today. You can hear. Appreciate all of your work, and you too, Stephen. So it's great. This has been a great week. Our television show, we got 6 leads off of it this week. We got 4 appointments set. I've got 2 prospects with assets of around $3 million total. So we're filling up the pipeline. Life is good. You know, life is good. And so I'm choosing to focus on what I do have as opposed to what I didn't get.
In the age of COVID, 25 people is a mob. We had a couple hosts at their first events in a year last week down in Florida. And these are people that normally have over 100 people coming to their events. And they had 25 people, and they were ecstatic. Because like you said, they were high quality people.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we focus on when we do get to have a small group, that gives us as an opportunity as a company to focus on that small group, to have them help grow your group. Yeah. That gives us the ability to reach out to 25 people and say, thank you so much. Who do you think could benefit from your event?
Yeah. And to answer your question about retirement, I don't know, but I don't do what now?
You help people retire.
That's right. I help people retire for a living, but I'll tell you one thing that I see in this business, maybe more so than any people in any other business. I see people retire, particularly men, and their career was their entire purpose. And when they retire and they no longer have the friends that they used to have, and they no longer have the power and the connections, and let's not kid ourselves, power is addictive, okay? Having status and influence, that means something, okay? You don't have to be a tyrant, but having power and influence and status as a CEO, as a business leader, whatever, and then all of a sudden you remove yourself from that, that's a blow to the ego, but it's also a blow mentally and physically. And I see too many people who retire too soon, and it leads to an early grave. And you know, you don't want to have that happen. And so for me, retirement, I don't view myself necessarily as a financial advisor. I'm an educator who happens to teach through the curriculum of financial advice. And I'm always going to want to teach, and I'm always going to want to help people to demystify this world of money. You know, people were freaking out yesterday. If you watch the news, the market had a really rough day yesterday. Okay. People freaking out, and they think, oh my God, it's the end of the world. I sent out a video to all of our clients yesterday and all of our followers to say, we've been here before. Remember last year, and everything was okay. Sure enough, in the very next day, today, the market has rebounded. Okay. So I love helping people to see it's all going to be okay. Yes, it's prudent to plan, but it's going to be okay. We have a plan. You know where you're going. And I can't see myself ever wanting to retire from doing that. Even if I'm 90 years old, I may not be coming to this office every day. But by that point, I hope that I have recruited and trained and mentored a team of advisors who can come in and continue that legacy. So I don't think I'll ever retire from teaching.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I do remember Jimmy. You guys remember who's country fans? Jimmy Dean, guy sang Big Bad John. I was watching a video of him last night performing in concert, and he had all his colleagues of his age group there singing the song with him in the audience. He must have been 85 years old, sitting in a wheelchair, and still, you know, packing in an audience to hear Big Bad John. And if Mick Jagger doesn't have to retire, why should we? Or Keith Richards, you know, we're rock stars. We want to keep it going. And you know, helping people start a business, giving them advice, you know, people calling you up. I had a client call me today, and always second guesses himself. I mean, literally, I got him into a house with $120,000 equity, and for a rental. And he's already talking about, I got to get rid of it and break even. I said, if we did nothing to your house right now and you paid my commission, you're still going to walk away with an $80,000 profit in 2 months. So we do have a lot of options. And you know what? We can overplan things too. You know, there's an expression that my grandfather used to say all the time that man plans and God laughs. So, I mean, that's, I think as an entrepreneur, you know, when we talk to people, they think we have a crystal ball because we're leading the life that we want to live, that we can tell their future as well. We can just tell them there's a lot of different possible futures that are within their grasp, but ultimately we're just along for the ride, right, Damon? Yeah. Let's go over to Adam Bricker in Canada, and then we'll go over to Rhonda in California after that. Adam,
everybody.
Today, if you're not aware of it, because I know you're on a different timeline out there. As an entrepreneur, are you ever going to retire, or is that word doesn't make sense to you? It's hard to calculate that.
Yeah, so I retired about 20 years ago. As a matter of fact, I'm totally unemployable. You know, raise your hand if you would hire me. See, nobody would even hire me on this panel. Oh, Rhonda would, right? I became the CEO of my life. And when I work with people, I work sometimes with them as an entrepreneurial nature. That, in other words, my financial abundance affords me the ability to invest in other people's companies. And the way I'm working with Rhonda, or as you'll see up here on the screen with Anna, or with Kevin, or with Kelly, I actually take on an equity piece and interest in their company so that they can grow their business. That way I can work under my own guise and my own things and do what I love the best. I want to make it clear I have a purpose. My purpose in life is to feed the children. And that's provide food, education, empowerment, and direction for children of all ages. So I don't know if I'll ever retire from that, because I mentor and coach other people, run nonprofits and for-profit businesses that actually put the food in their mouth, put their education on the table, because those people are way smarter than I'm ever going to be. I just have a great way to connect with people and entice people to go after what they want. So yeah, from retiring from this, I don't think so. As a matter of fact, I just started again.
It feels like giving up a little bit. I mean, it's just such a negative. It's a negative word, really. Retirement. I mean, you were married. You had a child. Child's gone all the way through college, successful, and you have more children that are going to be going to college. Remarried.
Yeah, I did so well the first time around. I got married to a 33-year-old, and I got 2 little ones again, and we're just out playing with them. I'm enjoying life. Life is to be enjoyed. You know, I cherish every day that I have. And you know, when I heard Damon say earlier, you know, how he felt about the amount of people that showed up, I learned from Tony Robbins: exchange your expectations for appreciation, and the way you see the world changes. It's amazing, and it is all about what you focus on. I focus on joy and happiness, fulfillment. You know, I want fulfillment. I'd rather only make $8 million and be totally fulfilled than make $10 million and be struggling and tired and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know if I retired from the workforce. I don't punch a clock. You know, I'll work early in the morning before anybody gets up, or late at night on any given day. But I might take the girls out for a 3-hour lunch and play pickleball like we did today.
I mean, you can take your phone and you can put it down and just turn it off, and I mean, there's no repercussions there.
I just, you know, I take both phones, I let them talk to each other, and I take the little time off.
Right. I have been unemployed for 31 years now. I've been unemployed and unemployable, and none of you guys are going to hire me. but it's about that freedom, that enjoyment of life is critical. And I like to teach people about that. People that are unhappy in their situation, they think that money is going to be the key to it, but it's being able to be a productive member of society. I had a great time today. I had another, a lot of real estate agents, and Jay knows a lot about real estate. He knows, he's forgotten more than I know in real estate. But a lot of real estate agents, they're on forums and they're like, we're going to be replaced by technology and we only have a year left to do real estate. Jay, how long have they been saying that? Since 20 years, 30 years?
They've been, yeah. I mean, when I first started my first website internet for real estate was in 1997, Bungalow Hunter. And when we sold $1 million worth of real estate on the web, just without people sight unseen, everybody thought, oh my God, it's over. We will never need real estate agents again. And that was in 1997.
Right. So it's been a long time coming. I mean, I was in the book business and they said there would be no more bookstores, and people are opening up bookstores every single day. I mean, not only that, my neighbor is spending, $100,000 to build a room to listen to records. So I sat here with another agent. I said, what we know is our knowledge is our power. So the best thing that we can do to preserve our job is to interact with one another. Real estate agents have to stop being adversarial and become the best friends ever so we can serve our clients better. There are a lot of people out there that would like to downsize and sell their homes, and they just don't know that there's availability of property to purchase. We have to educate them in that. There will always be a place for a real estate agent. But off the subject of real estate, although I'm completely immersed in it, obviously right now, I had a great conversation, and I'm gonna let Clint and Domenic sort of go on at once. They like to riff with one another. Domenic and Clint do two podcasts with one another. One is Joe Schmo's Sports. Am I saying that right? Podcast.
Joe Schmo Sports Show.
Joe Schmo Sports Show. Say that 10 times fast. And they'd asked me to be on their podcast. I said, well, I know absolutely nothing about sports whatsoever. One of the reasons why Sarah married me, because I am not a sports husband. And I didn't make her into a sports wife. But they said, oh, yeah, we have another one, and it's called the Drinking Heavily in the Afternoon podcast. And I'm not that great of a drinker either, but I can give that a shot. That's the name of that one, right? The other podcast?
The Liquid Soapbox. Yes, that is correct.
The Liquid Soapbox. And we spoke about networking, and we spoke about real estate yesterday. And I could just cue in. These guys are along, they're there for the fun of it. I mean, sure, just being an entrepreneur, just going out and casting your net a little bit, you're going to get customers. After you do it a couple of years, you're never afraid of getting business or not. That business is always out there. Whenever you dip your net, you're going to get it. But these guys are doing this for fun, really enjoying it. But a professional podcast too, great producer. Where did you guys do that? Where was that?
Notice the same background? Did it right where I'm sitting right now, my office.
I had no idea. I thought you were in some fancy studio somewhere.
Seems
No,
like
we
it.
normally do it outside in the speakeasy, but because it's summer and it's North Carolina, we pivoted.
We were supposed to have another guest on today. We bought this week. I am a marketplace addict. If you do not know that, Facebook Marketplace. Because if you do it after a while, there's some algorithm, they will find you all the weird stuff that you like, that you never thought was available for sale. It's going to put it there. And Facebook doesn't make any money from this. I guess they gather data about what you like, that weird stuff. And I'm making friends on Marketplace. So we had these people, we bought a grandfather clock. I always wanted to have a grandfather clock. And the guy, he said, there's a history to this grandfather clock. I'm going to deliver the grandfather clock to you, and I'm going to set up the grandfather clock for you and teach you everything about it. He brought his wife with him. Ends up, she's an internationally known business coach, and he has a fantastic internet marketing company. Ron, I'm going to make an introduction for you and everyone else who it's appropriate for. They ended up buying. I have the world's smallest bookstore inside of my house. I'm in it right now, and I sell books out of it. Like I'll put something up on Marketplace, and then people come over and buy like $100, $500, $1,000 worth of books, and I get to sit and have a conversation with people that still like books. And a lot of fun. It's about the fun. That's really when it comes down to it. We're still kids. We enjoy things. It doesn't make a difference how many millions of dollars you accumulate. I used to have fun, with a hammer and some caps.
Did you say cats?
Caps.
Okay.
Jim knew what I was talking about. Mike knew what I was talking about. Because your cap gun, it would break in about a minute. And then you have all those caps. You take a hammer, you just beat up on them. Or your dad, my dad gave me a Swiss Army knife. Of course, I cut myself immediately with it. But whittle. Did you guys whittle when you were a kid?
No.
No, we were raised in the 80s.
Okay, so things were not safe. But for us, we could do any.
There was no whittling
thing we wanted.
around the fire.
Like when I was a kid, if you told your dad you wanted to drive, he'd put you in his lap and you would drive the car. If you wanted to take a sip of a scotch and soda, we'd say, go ahead, have a scotch and soda. I was drinking coffee when I was 3 years old. I was driving the car when I was 12 and didn't have to be home until, it was dark outside.
Uphill both ways in the snow in Florida, right?
No, not like that. I'm talking pure pleasure. You just, it's pretty easy to bike in flat South Florida. And we had some great weather, but it's the same thing when you're an adult. And I talked to Domenic and Clint, and they're sitting in their speakeasy, and they're having a drink, and they're telling me they're working. Yeah,
we're working.
But work and play. If you're doing what you like, the work is play, right, Domenic?
Well, I was going to bring that up because let's go back to the original question, which was, what does it mean, to be retired? What would that look like for you? That's a question that I start a lot of my client conversations with. So what do you want the outcome of all of this work that we're doing to lead up to? And most people say, well, retirement. What does that mean for you? Because it's going to mean something different to everybody. Everybody's vision of it is different. But for this group of people right here, who are all entrepreneurs, I think the better question is, what does it mean to us to actually work? Because if we're enjoying what we're doing, if we're passionate about what it is that we're doing, we're earning an income off of it, but it doesn't seem like work. Yeah, we put a lot of effort into it and a lot of work into it, but it's what we're going to be doing anyway. This is what I would be doing if I didn't have to make money, right? I would be having these kinds of conversations.
The money is sort of like the icing on the cake, isn't it? It's
right,
like
exactly.
And you're like, wow, I got paid to do this. This is sort of
right.
great.
Right. Most people talk about retirement. I'm sorry, Steven.
I get a lot of, and I know you do too, satisfaction from solving someone else's problem to alleviate their stress. That's like, wow, I feel great.
Right. And most folks I talk to, they're like, I can't wait to have enough money so that I can retire so I can do this thing over here that I'm really passionate about. Well, what the heck? As entrepreneurs, we can set aside some time to do the things that we're passionate about. We're already doing the things that we're passionate about right now, and we're getting paid handsomely to do it, right? And we don't sit there and punch clock and have to worry about who's coming and who's going and whatnot. I guess if I had to define retirement for myself, it would be, when all my children move out of the house and there isn't a possibility that they're going to move back in. To me, that's retirement, right? And then I just get to do whatever I want, whenever I want, pretty much from then on, right?
Well, it's like people, when you're doing something that you like and you're getting paid for it. First of all, you're going to be good at it because you like doing it.
Sure.
And because you like doing it, you're good at it, people are going to pay you for it.
Yeah. If your vision, if you're the type of person that just wants to sit and do nothing, then I guess do nothing. If you're somebody who wants to spend their retirement fishing, well, by the time you get to be old enough, quote unquote, to retire, you've accumulated enough money so that you don't have to work anymore and you can stop working and go fish for the rest of your life. You're gonna be too old. Your body typically is going to be, you may get a few years of it, but you're not going to get the massive enjoyment that you really want out of it. If you really want to do, if you really want to do what you're passionate about, and again, I would go back to fishing because a lot of people say that's what they're going to do when they retire. Figure out how to fish every day now while you're
Right.
young enough to do it, to
I had a
enjoy
friend
it.
who had a very successful music company, where all the kids rented their equipment and they sold other stuff. And he wanted to be who's a parrot head, and he wanted to be a fisherman. And he went to the port of Miami and went to one of those charter boats and said, "Can I work on the charter boat?" And he'd bring his hot chocolate and he'd fish all day and he'd help people fish. I mean, the guy had millions and millions and millions of dollars, but he wanted to be amongst other people. He didn't want to go sit out on his yacht with other decrepit people.
Right.
He wanted to be with people that that loved life.
But if you still need to generate income, if you don't have enough money that you can just go be a mate on a boat and that's going to be enough income for you, figure out how to buy a boat, figure out how to buy a couple of boats and charter them out. Figure out how to make a living doing that if that's what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about golf, Clint, figure out a job that you can do where you can play golf every day. Not necessarily your job having to be golf, but your job, you do business with people while you golf. So you get to
those guys that pull balls out of the pond.
Well, I mean, maybe, or you just, take people who also like to golf and you do business deals on the golf course. You're doing business while you're playing. I mean, that's why Clint's the golf networker. He's passionate about golf, and other people who he does business with love playing. So he gets to, that's his office. His office is the golf course. He doesn't necessarily make money from golfing, but he makes money because he golfs, and that's it. So he's figured out a way to do what he's passionate about every single day.
Retired. So Clint, what are your thoughts on this? We'll give you your we shared time with Domenic here.
I have different thoughts than you guys, I'm sure, because I don't have my own business. I operate what I do as my own business. So my retirement looks like the life, the dream, right? So my wife and I want one cottage or whatever, cabin in the mountains and then a condo at the beach, and rent out the other one while we're not at the other one. And so the Goldilocks, I guess, is to have enough money to be able to do that and not have to worry about anything.
I could teach you how to do that right now if you wanted to do that. Jay Izso and I could teach you how to do that right now if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want to have any other responsibilities, like besides that, and riding a jet ski. Maybe I could open up a jet ski company, like where I rent jet skis on the waterway or something. That would be cool. I would.
My grandfather had a friend who was the original entrepreneur. Like when he went into the Navy during World War II, he brought a needle and thread with him, and he would alter the uniforms because all the uniforms were one size fit all. He would alter them so the guys would look good when they would go into port.
Nice.
With a huge amount of cash, he opened up businesses and bought properties with after the war. Like he was the type of guy, like he wanted, he called someone and say, "Hey, can you deliver sand to my lake house?" And they'd say, "Well, it'll cost this amount of money." And he'd say, "Wait a second, I'm just going to go buy a truck and I'll rent the truck to other people."
Mm-hmm.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
And to bring up something that Mike said he didn't really know what he was going to do in those kind of things. I know, Mike, you and I are going to be calling high school baseball games somewhere, maybe all across the country as we travel.
I was a geriatric social worker, and all I heard from my clients was regret of what they didn't do. And that's why I opened up bookstores. You know, my parents always talked about wanting to open up bookstores, and I always wanted to own my bookstore. I said, you know, what's preventing me from doing it? And I did something that maybe 1 out of a million people open up a bookstore, and did it for 15 years and made a good income doing it. So Rhonda, retirement, what does it mean to you?
Great question. Well, I'm also unemployable, but I did hire Adam. So, he is, and you got to check it out because it's amazing. It's interesting because I've been giving a lot of thought to it. My husband retired from quote unquote the corporate world, right? So, and that was a very long career. So now he calls himself the busiest retired person that I know. So for me, what it really looks like is being able to take 4 trips a year, barring COVID, right? Still being able to share all my knowledge about LinkedIn and empower people because I just can't help myself. I remember many years ago when my kids were really young and they Googled all the moms, right? And they came back and they go, "Oh my God, your mom is famous." And they go, "What are you talking about?" "Well, there's like 10 pages on her." And they said, "Oh, my mom doesn't have a job. She just talks." And, it was hysterical because I had given so many speeches that every time I did it, it would show up on Google. So, as I am approaching, this, I'm in the 6th decade here. For me, it's really about, and I love what you said, Domenic, it's about the work-life balance, right? So my husband and I are going to take dancing lessons because we both have 2 left feet. And we're going to go back to golf because we both have golf clubs. And we're going to take pickleball lessons now that COVID's opening up, right? And we happen to live in an over 55 community, okay? And we joke because like tomorrow night, we're actually going to go play bingo, okay? That's what retirement looks like. We get to play bingo with a bunch of old people and we're the youngest ones, which is fun. And I think the other part of it is because of good financial planning, right? Working and planning towards retirement, we have choices. So for us, the choices are, hey, I get to be a score mentor if I want, right? I get to, it's like you don't really care about getting paid, but you still care. For me, what I care about is that I can take all the knowledge and everything that I've learned and share and empower it with other people, right?
I have a
So,
feeling you start your own score because you won't be able to
Eh,
work with your
I think one of the things that I would do, and it's interesting. My neighbor is actually younger than me, and she is completely retired, right? And I go, "Renee, what do you do all day?" She goes, "I don't know, but the day just flies by. Like I'm always doing something." And I thought, okay, I don't want to have that much free time, right? So for me, it's kind of like I'd love to be able to just work a few hours a day, doing what I love, still speaking, training on LinkedIn, empowering people. And then the rest of the time, just have time to, one of the things I want to do is I want to either buy or rent an RV and travel the country. So that's kind of on my list. That's what retirement looks like for us. And,
I think in
just
about 6 months will be a really good time to buy an RV when all these people that were going to RV for the rest of their life
exactly,
decide they're not going
exactly.
to do that.
Yeah, and just practice gratitude every day and hang out with cool people like you and Adam and and just really enjoy life. I love living in an over 55 community and being part of the youngest crowd. It's just fun.
Well, it's sort of, one of the magic powers of entrepreneurs is being able to make money appear out of nowhere.
Yeah, I
The
love that,
rest of
right?
society just doesn't have. Like, you can literally wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to go make money, and then go make money.
Yeah.
Someone else has to have someone hand them the money.
Well, one of the things that I love to do is actually teach people how to save money in a fun way, right? So, it's like find sites like OfferUp, right? Where you can buy stuff and recycle your stuff. And, I grew up with a Jewish mother. So, my exercise was shopping.
You don't pay retail.
I don't pay retail and I make reservations. I mean,
Right.
come on, seriously, right?
My parents are retired, and their full-time job is they love to grocery shop. They have a whole schedule of groceries that they do the entire week, and also bringing their dog into places where they're not allowed to bring their dog.
Yeah,
Okay?
it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah,
So,
that's their number one thing. Getting that dog into places where it should not be.
So that's my version of retirement, right? And I'll always be on LinkedIn, right? My headline will just be, never retired.
Try Marketplace. Great fun place for shopping and meeting people. Really cool.
Oh, okay. Well, I do have a black belt in shopping, so I will do that.
Great. Christina, what is your
Yes.
You're never going to retire, right?
I retired once already before, and I came out of retirement. My first retirement was when I was 35. And then I came out because I was bored. And so even though I had one of my businesses, I just wanted to expand. This time when I retired, which my business partner and I had spoke about, is I want to relocate to another country, indefinite, and just, live my life in another country, write more books, trade. That would be one of the things that I would do, and maybe, visit my son and my granddaughter, come to the U.S., maybe twice or three times a year, and that's it.
That's a great thing. I mean, that's it. Going to another country is a challenging thing.
Well, I lived in other countries before. I lived in Brazil for 4.5 years. I lived in Turkey for closer to 5 years. I am a traveler. I'm a world traveler. Um, I love other cultures. My family is from all over the world, from Africa to France to England. I have, family that's everywhere. So we travel quite a bit, in our family. I think relocating, especially now, I think it would be a lot more different because we're still going through this new variant of COVID. But where I want to go to relocate, they don't have the high cases as the United States, but it's going to be a little bit. My granddaughter, she's in the 11th grade. So as soon as she gets done, and we get her off to college, we're looking at colleges right now for her. As soon as she gets to college, and then that's it. I'm done.
Well, please let us know where you move, because we can probably do a nice Rockstar Connect event there.
Mm.
Jennifer, and then we'll go to Jenny to close out the day. So Jennifer Williamson first. You're you're age-wise, you're quite away from retirement, but with all the business things that are happening, you could be retired next year.
I guess like a lot of other people really said it right. Like if you enjoy basically what you're doing, then you're not retiring. I pretty much agree with what Jay said. So I don't plan to retire in the traditional sense. I think the original meaning of retirement needs to be put to bed. So you have a new version of retirement that needs to be redefined by us, the new generation of business owners and entrepreneurs. So what does that mean? I think we can define it as a way to say that you've accomplished your major hurdles and are able to rest peacefully, knowing that you have accomplished it and have reached that level that I should say that a stable condition that you're feeling that you can continue doing what you're doing sustainably. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. And beyond that, so we've redefined employment. We have, like you said, we have to redefine what retirement is. We have to redefine what volunteerism is, because in the past, volunteerism was very much like another job. How can we volunteer like Adam does on our own terms, or like Jay and other people on this panel? How do we continue to be our own boss for life, regardless of whether we're still bringing in compensation? Because some things you just don't even want to be compensated for. You enjoy it more when you're not being paid for it. Mentoring being one of those things. Helping people that can't necessarily afford your services as a coach. That's a great thing when you can do pro bono coaching and really help someone. Jenny, we'll give you last words today. And what are your thoughts on retirement?
I can't imagine actually not doing things where I'm like reimagining new ways to make money, because that's just what I do. I like if what keeps me up at night are ideas to be like, and what's going to be the next thing? I don't know, honestly. And I've said this before to my husband, like, I can't imagine a time where I'm not actively doing things, because when I'm idle, like, my mental health suffers. So I need to be doing things. I wouldn't actually be surprised if, like, in retirement, I actually get a job. Like, I go work for someone.
Because you could really help those people, probably.
Right. Like, I can go back and work, you know, on my terms. It doesn't have to be as like a salaried, you know, as an employee, but I can totally go back and work in a hospital and do whatever I used to do, as needed. Right. Again, I don't want to be like beholden to the organization. However, like, peer, you know, as needed social workers are always going to be needed. So, like, and that would give me something to do. That would give me more purpose. I imagine traveling. I imagine going out of the country. I imagine going and doing other things, but I don't know what that's going to look like, right? Because who knew that 2020 was going to bring with it the COVID pandemic, and then that was going to shift everything. So, since I did not bring my crystal ball with me to the office, I can imagine these other things that are going to happen. But, you know, I just hope to get there.
I mean, I think
and
that
then see what happens.
Because of the pandemic, I mean, we have much bigger bucket lists.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had some time to think about, hey, you know, what are we missing right now? What are we enjoying? In my life, it really allowed me to look at the things that don't require me leaving my house necessarily or traveling, that I enjoy so much. And now I'm really enjoying it. You know, I don't know how many of you know that my parents are now living with us. We're one family unit, our daughter and Sarah and I and my mother and father. And I'm cooking dinner every night. I get to cook dinner for my parents every evening. I say, Mom and Pop, what do you guys want for dinner? They say, whatever you make is fine. So I get to entertain my parents basically every night. It's great. I mean, there's so many different things. And, you know, we're not going to get impacted by COVID again, where my parents were a mile away, but they might as well have been 100 miles away. Right. Not going to happen. Not going to let it happen. Well, we're at the end. We're at the end of the program right now. But if anybody would like to have they have something coming up that they would like to promote, please, you know, take the opportunity. Mike, Jay, do you have anything coming up?
Mike, do you want to go? Where's Mike? There he is.
Mr. Manning?
I do not.
Okay.
I mean, for me, you know, the show is every Wednesday. If you want to check into A New Direction, we're available Spotify, Pandora, Alexa, everything. We do it live, Facebook and Castbox FM. Be 2:00 tomorrow. If you want to catch us live.
Very important. Join your LinkedIn, because you promote very heavily on LinkedIn.
I do. Just in JAYIZSO. It's not an Italian spelling. It's a Hebrew spelling. So it's IZSO, not IZZO.
I'd like to talk more about that. We started talking about that a while ago. I'd like to get more in that. I want to thank everyone for attending today, Rockstar Connect. This will be broadcast all over Facebook and on YouTube. Please join us again next week. And who would like to get the opportunity next week to come up with a question? You can. I'm going to let someone else pick the question for next week. Jay, would you like to do that? You'll do that? Okay, great. Terrific.
I will do it. I will come up with the question next week.
Okay, excellent. Hey, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Check out Rockstar Connect for the many events nearby you.